This next video, we're going to cover multiplying and dividing rational expressions because really they're just the same thing. And in reality, they're just giant simplifications. So what you're going to do is you're going to always factor first. When you start dealing with rational expressions more and more, you'll realize that factoring is always the first step. Then you're going to look to see if anything can simplify. And then whatever's left, you're going to multiply across. And then you're just going to double check that you didn't miss anything. So for example, let's do this first one. So with a multiplication, this is a fraction times a fraction. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we're going to factor. So top left here, I'm going to greatest common factor out of c to be left with c plus 2. My denominator, I have a difference of squares, so it's going to be c minus 2 and c plus 2. Then I have a trinomial. This question's got everything. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to give me positive 4 and add to give me negative 4. That's going to be c minus 2 times c minus 2, or c minus 2 all squared. And then it's a greatest common factor of a c in the denominator to be left with c minus 1. Now, when you're looking to see if you can simplify, okay, because this is a multiplication, this is c times c plus 2 times c minus 2 times c minus 2 divided by c minus 2 divided by c plus 2 divided by c and divided by c minus 1. You're allowed to do this division and multiplication in whatever order you want because it's all multiplication and division. So when I look at this one, I see a c plus 2, I see a c, and I see a c minus 2. So I have factored, I have simplified, and then I'm going to multiply across. So this is 1 times 1 times 1 times c minus 2. And then 1 times 1 times 1 times c minus 1. And that's it. That's done, right? Do not simplify your c's because you have to subtract the 2 before you could do the division. All right, pause the video, maybe give this one a go. So for this one, we just have a difference of squares in the numerator. And then in my denominator, I have an m plus 2 times 1 over m plus 4. This one is far less satisfying. So we could just simplify the m plus 4s, and we would be left with m minus 4 over m plus 2. Awesome. Division is just multiplication with one more step. There's this word flip. When you're dividing fractions, you flip the second fraction always. And you're going to factor, simplify, multiply, simplify. So the exact same steps after that. So what I like to do is I like to factor and flip at the same time. So 5p plus 2 is not factorable. 6 is not factorable. I'm going to change this to a multiplication. I'm going to put the 5 on top. And then I'm also going to greatest common factor out of 3 from the denominator to be left with 5p plus 2. Then I'm going to look to see if there's anything I can simplify. So 5p plus 2, 5p plus 2. And then I'm going to multiply across. So this is 1 times 5 is 5, and then 6 times 3 is 18. And then I always just want to make sure that I can't simplify further. So if there's anything that goes into both 5 and 18, which there's not. All right, one last one here. So I'm going to factor and flip at the same time. So greatest common factor out of q. I have a 5 plus q in the denominator, which could be written as q plus 5 if I wanted to. And then I'm going to do a multiplication, and I'm going to flip and factor at the same time, which if that's too much, do it one at a time. So I'm looking at my denominator becoming my numerator. I'm going to factor out a 3 to be left with q minus 2. And then here, that's going to be a difference of squares, so 2 minus q and a 2 plus q. All right, now what can simplify? I have a q plus 2 and a 2 plus q. They are the exact same because they're addition. It doesn't matter what order they're written in. Whereas here I have a q minus 2 and a 2 minus q. So if you need to remind yourself why, right? So these are not the same. If I change their order, I'd have negative 2 plus q over 2 minus q. So you can factor out that negative 1 to be left with 2 minus q. And then I know that I'm simplifying to negative 1. So what I do is just go like that and go negative 1. And then I look to see what's left. This is q times 3 times negative 1. So it'd be negative 3q. And then in my denominator, all I have left is the 5 plus q. And again, I can't do this division because I have to add before I can do the division. Awesome.